Okay guys, let's do a video on the equation of a circle. And what I'll do is I'll first of all define what the equation of a circle is. In my definitions, I will be using the word center, or I might say origin. If I say origin, I'm talking about this point where the x and the y axis meet each other. So I'll be using that word a bit now and again. So at least you know what I mean when I say that word. Now, to derive it, I'll first of all draw a quick line here to represent the radius of my circle. So that's going to be the radius of the circle because it goes from the center to the circumference there. Now, in order to find it, what I'm going to do is I will then now make a quick right angle triangle using it. Now, this is my radius here. I'll call that R. Okay, so that's just the length of this line here. This line here, it has a y value, and this line has an x value going from there to there. So that's my y value going from there to there, x value going from there to there. Now, immediately you should be thinking, well, I've got a right angle triangle. This radius does relate to these two other variables, and Pythagoras is the one that makes it happen. And so you should remember that x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared when you look at, because that's the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse square is equal to that square plus that square. And this is the equation of a circle, provided that the center of that circle is the origin. Okay, so, and that's basically our starting point. From that, we can now look at various questions, say. So, for example, we can say, okay, if I've got an equation that, say, x squared plus y squared is equal to 25, say, then it basically means that the radius of this circle that makes that equation is going to have to be 5, because when you think of it, 5 square is going to give you 25. We might want to define an x and y value that makes that happen. Let's try that out then. So let's just say this is 3, and where this goes across here, that's 4. So the y value is 4, it goes up 4 units and it goes across 3 units. So it means therefore that the coordinate, this coordinate just there on the edge of the circle is 3 and 4. Let's now put that coordinate into here and see if we will get that same answer. Well, let's go for it then. So replace the x with 3, replace the y with 4. So we get 3 square plus 4 square is going to equal to r square. Okay, that's what we're trying to find out. So we're trying to find out that r square will be 25 or r is going to be 5. So let's go then. 3 square is 9. 4 square is 16. That equals to r square. You add the 9 and 16 and you would get 25 is equal to r squared. So yay, that does work. We can now square root that 25 to find out what r is, and then we get the positive value of r is 5. Okay, so that shows us that that does work, and that is perfectly fine. So you might be given, this is quite an entry low level type question, where you have got just a square number on the end for the radius. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's just say you've been given a situation where, okay, we're going to assume that the center of these circles is the origin. And let's just say they told us that the radius is equal to 7, and you need to write the equation of that circle. Well, so long as the center is the origin, it's very easy to write the equations, because we can just say, well, that's x squared plus y squared is equal to 7 squared. If you want, you can rewrite it as x squared plus y squared is equal to 49. Okay, and that's as simple as that is. There's nothing else to do on that per se. All right, I'll just probably chuck a tricky one in there. Let's just say you needed to find the equation of the circle, but it turns out that the radius is 2 root 3. Just say it's 2 root 3. Okay, now well, if the center is the origin, which in this case it is, you start with your x squared plus y squared is equal to 2 root 3 all square. And you can now simplify that out. I will just do that in a different color just underneath here. This becomes 2 square multiplied by the square of root 3. Now, if you square a square root, the square root disappears. That's okay. Just to give you a quick explanation, that's because square root is to the power of a half, and when you multiply a half by 2, it becomes 1. Okay, so it'll just become 3 there. Okay, so that's going to give us a final answer of 2 square is 4 times 3 is going to give us 12. So it means that that was a 12 there. So finally, we can say then the equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared is equal to 12. All right, and that is basically done. Try and remember your little bit of indices to know what happened here, because that 2 became a power of that 2, and the 2 also became a power of that square root of 3. Okay, so be very, very careful with things like that. That's the bit where you can get tripped up. Okay, let's move on. Now, as you can see here, the center is no longer the origin. So the center is no longer here. The center has moved somewhat, okay? Now, let's find out what do we do when the center has moved. So I'm going to assume that the center is now here, which means that whatever my x value used to be, it's not there anymore. My y value has moved as well. Now, bear in mind, it used to be the center here, but now it's moved over here. So what we need to do in order to bring it back to the center is to subtract this difference. So we need to subtract this difference here, take away that value that it's moved to. And just the same way for y, we need to bring the y back down here. We need to take away that value that it's moved to. And so this new equation of a circle has been formed where a and b are the coordinates of where this is. So that's a and b. So a and b is now here. That was a, that was b. Okay, so we basically have found the center of the circle straight away. Right, let's look at some examples. Okay, so in this first example, we have that the center of the circle is 1 and 2, and the radius is 3. So it means that this circle, the center, this whole circle had moved 1 unit to the right and 2 units up. So let's start rewriting what we already know. We already know it's going to be x take away some value of a square plus y take away some value of b square is equal to r square, and r in this case is 3. Okay, this is the unit that it's moved in the x direction, so put the 1 there. This is the units that it's moved in the y direction, so put the 2 there. And basically we can simplify if we want. We have x minus 1 all square plus y minus 2 all square is equal to 9. All right. Now, if you want to, for example, if the question says, write it in a particular format or prove that it might actually look like this, then you might need to go through the whole idea of expanding these brackets and thereby turning it into an equation without brackets. Okay, but for now, this is pretty much okay where it is. If you had to go through the stress of expanding it, I'll just quickly write that out. You have to expand this bracket and expand that bracket. Now, bear in mind before you do that, expanding this bracket actually means x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 1. Yeah, don't just square the x and the 1. Same thing for this bracket on the end here. It actually means y minus 2 and y minus 2, and that equals to 9. So I'll just quickly run through that, and you have to use your FOIL or whatever it is you use to expand double brackets. Okay, but in any case, this will give you x squared minus 2x plus 1, and the other one will give you y squared minus 4y plus 4. You can bring the 9 over now, becomes minus 9. There's nothing left over there. Okay, the x and the y square, well, you can just basically add them together like this, x squared plus y squared. There's nothing else you can do about that now. Minus 2x minus 4y, nothing else we can do about that. So minus 2x minus 4y, and then all the numbers we can add it up, so we can have 1 plus 4 is 5, and then if you take that away from 9, you'll get minus 4. And this is now done. So this is the equation of this circle that has a radius of 3 and a center of 1 and 2. Okay, but for the purposes of this video, when we do any more, we will just keep it like this. But I just showed you this in case you've been asked in a question to bring it to that point. All right, let's have another go at another question. Okay, here you go. Feel free to pause the video if you like and have a go. But you've been given a center and a radius, and you need to find the equation of the circle. And like I said earlier, we'll just keep it nice and simple for now. So here we go. Start with what you know. X, take away something, square. Y, take away something, square, is equal to 5 square. Okay. Right, well, we can see this is the x value, that's the y value. So the x, it moved in direction of 4 units, sorry. And y, it moved down 2 units, so minus 2 there. All right, we know that these two minuses will multiply, become a plus. So then we're going to stop at this point, our final answer being x minus 4 all square plus y plus 2 square is equal to 25. All right, so that's where we should probably stop it. Let's have a look at one final one on this, and then we'll move on to, if you have an equation, find the center kind of thing. Okay, so here we have a center of 4 and minus 4 and a radius of 2 root 3. Okay, again, start with what you know. X, take away the x value, which is going to be 4, and we square that, plus y, take away the y value, which is minus 4, and we square that, is equal to r square. So it's going to be 2 root 3 all square. Okay, let's finish this off then. We remember what happens with the double minuses there. So we're going to have x minus 4 square plus y plus 4 square is equal to, right, let's talk about this little problem we have on the end. You'll need to use indices for this. So this power multiplies by that power of the 2, which is a 1, so multiply that by there, and then this power multiplies there. So what you'll end up having, I'll do this as an aside over here, is 2 square multiplied by the square root of 3 square. Now I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, guys, because your indices should be pretty strong. If you're watching this video, it means that you're probably aiming for an A or an A star at GCSE, so you're or in the new GCSE probably a grade 8. Okay, so yeah, so you should know your indices for this here. Anyway, let's go. So this becomes 4 multiplied by, when you square this square root is the power of a half. When you square, when you multiply 2 by a half, you get 1. So this just becomes 3. So basically that's a 12 there. Okay, and so finally 12 there. All right, so that's basically the general format of what it might look like. Now, let's think about when things go the other way around. So, for example, if you are given the equation of a circle, so x minus 1 square plus y minus 4 square is equal to 25. And they said, find the exact value of the radius and find the center. Well, let's go for the center first. If we've got minus 1 in the x direction, it means it moved one direction to the right. Minus 4 means it moved 4 units up. So it means then that my center is going to be 1 and 4. That was easy to do. The radius, on the other hand, is going to be the square root of that number. So radius is equal to the square root of whatever you've got on the end there. Okay, because remember that this was r square. Okay, so we need a square number for it. So it means that the radius is 5. So for that circle, if you were to draw it, the radius would be 5. All right, let's look at another question. I'll probably go straight for a nice tricky one and then we'll end off on that. So if I've got x plus 8 square plus y minus 1 square is equal to 24. Okay, now immediately alarm bells might be going off in your head because 24 is not a square number and we need to find the exact value of the radius, which means there's going to be no rounding, no square rooting 24 in your calculator and giving a decimal. It has to be exact, but I'll show you how to do that. Anyway, let's start with the center. Well, plus 8. Well, that's got to mean that it moved 8 units to the left because this would have been a minus 8. So it basically means that my center is going to be minus 8. Then minus 1 means it moved 1 unit up. So that's fine. That's just going to be 1. So that's the center done. The radius, on the other hand, is going to be the square root of 24. Now, we can simplify this because if you see it in an exam, they will want it in the simplest form, and leaving it as a square root of 24 just won't cut it. So what you'll need to do is now, so I'll do this as an aside as well, remember all your knowledge on surds, and remember the square root of 24 will be 6. The square root of 6 times 4, which you will then split up into the square root of 6 times the square root of 4, we know that the square root of 4 is 2, so their final answer is 2 root 6. So therefore I can say my radius is 2 root 6. And this is now in its simplest form. All right, so that's it, guys, and that's it for now on circles. I will do a second video on circles where you will need to find out what happens when a line cuts the circle, and you need to find the where the line and circle intersect each other. All right, that's it for now. Take care. If you got any other questions, let me know.